What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Break Report Week 3. I am your host, Frank Lane. It's good to have you with us. We got a lot of crazy stuff to go over this week. Feel free to like this video if you actually indeed like it, and subscribe for new weekly videos where we post new stories weekly. But I'm here, you're here, let's do it. Let's take a break. Charmin, the toilet paper company, is in the news headlines this week as they began advertising a new toilet paper roll that they developed specifically for those who are single and have limited storage space. They introduced what they are calling the Charmin Forever Roll, which has the lifetime of 3, count them, 3 traditional rolls of toilet paper. For those of you keeping score, that basically equates to using the toilet once after a late night Taco Bell meal. Now, you may be familiar with the Charmin brand, being that they have an abundance of those commercials with those Charmin bears who have what can only be explained as an unhealthy, borderline fetish-like obsession with toilet paper. Can you imagine in that commercial bear universe with that obsession of toilet paper, what else goes on in that universe? Big husband bear comes home to take a shit and he realizes his wife bought some knockoff brand that isn't Charmin. Enraged, Susan, what the fuck is this shit? If I can't come home and wipe my furry ass with the equivalent of the Mercedes of toilet paper, then what the hell am I putting all those hours in the beehive for? Bear joke, do you get it? Because they like honey, so he'd be working in a beehive or something. Are they advertising how seriously they feel the public should feel about toilet paper? Being such an integral and foundational part to every American family. Not gonna lie, I don't know if I want to live in that world. They say they want this huge role to be for single people who have less storage space. Being that they won't have to change it as often, it'll give them one less thing to worry about. Quote unquote, one less thing to worry about. Charmin, what world are you living in? I don't think anybody is stressed out at work thinking to themselves at their desk, I gotta send in those expense reports, I gotta send Michael to swim practice, feed the dog, mow the lawn, and son of a bitch, I have to fucking change the roll of toilet paper again. Also, who has such tight constraints that they can't manage to find a place to fit a couple rolls of toilet paper? You know what I love about this story the most, though, is that they are selling specialty hardware to hold up this enormous roll. It's the one that's in that picture, supposedly. It comes with a stainless steel roll holder to hold up this enormous roll of toilet paper. It's well, hell yeah. I'm not exactly gonna hang that gigantic roll on my wall. I'm trying to crap out my Taco Bell from last night. I'm not exactly trying to patch torn drywall while I'm sitting on the toilet. But at the same time, it's if you're marketing this for individuals with limited space, wouldn't this industrial-sized pole be worse? And the order also comes with 3 other massive rolls. That shit will take up way more space than 2 regular rolls of toilet paper. Are you kidding me? Come on. One last note, I don't really know how I feel about them marketing this towards quote-unquote single millennials. This is way more embarrassing of a product than anything else that a single person would have in their apartment. If you have guests over and they see that, their first thought isn't gonna be, oh, I guess Frank isn't planning on dating anybody anytime soon. No, it's, Jesus, what the hell kind of shits is Frank taking? What is he eating? Well, Apple held its annual Worldwide Developers Conference this past week, in which they revealed a whole host of new software and hardware that will be released in the coming months. One of the most noteworthy announcements of the conference being the end of an era, iTunes. Apple has finally decided after 18 years of iTunes to put it to rest and focus more solely on their music streaming service, Apple Music. I think I still technically have an iTunes account and a library. Rest in peace to all my angsty playlists on there, from My Chemical Romance to Linkin Park. I don't even know if I can officially say that because I'm 90% sure I just listened to MCR last week. We never really change, do we? Actually, according to this, all of your playlists originally that are still on there will transfer right over to Apple Music if you have an account. That's kind of cool. There are people out there supposedly who still prefer iTunes, however, citing that there's a much bigger benefit of actually owning and purchasing the music that you want to listen to. I guess. I feel like it's a bad investment though. You're paying more money for fewer things. I mean, I guess that's one way to look at it. But like, especially if you want to buy more music in the future. So it's like, with that being said, streaming is clearly the optimal option. Like, imagine using that argument when it comes to Netflix. It's like, yeah, sure, I could pay $12 a month for Netflix, or I can pay individually for every movie and every TV show that I ever want to watch. Ever. So first of all, no. Secondly, let me break it down for you guys. I'm a die-hard fan of The Office. I've probably seen the entire show maybe 4 times. God, that really doesn't feel good saying out loud. Can we edit that out? The entire box set for the entire series of The Office on DVD is just about $60, or $12 on Netflix for the entire series and a bunch of other stuff. Granted, all that other stuff is comprised of a large amount of completely unbearable content, but let me finish. So $12 for Netflix, these are dollars, and $60 for the box set of The Office, these are dollars. Now, I'm no statistician, but if I had to guess, I would say right? I don't know if somebody wants to check my math. So according to this article, what is actually happening is that like iTunes will exist, however, as like a secondary tab within the Apple Music application. So they're comfortable saying that it's less than, but not comfortable enough to completely purge it. It kind of reminds me of what Windows did to Internet Explorer. Do you remember that? Like, hey, we get it, this browser is a fucking dumpster fire. So, we decided, came to a consensus, we got rid of it. Everybody was like, oh, finally, thank God. We're glad you're happy. By the way, here's a new browser we're working on. It's called Microsoft Edge. Everybody tried it out. They were like, well, this is kind of cool. It's got... Wait. The other big announcement from the developers conference this past week was Apple's new editing monster, the Mac Pro. Now this thing is huge. It has a huge price tag, and it's got some pretty big capabilities, but it yielded some polarizing results, I guess you could say. If you didn't see it, Apple was basically like, this ultimate editing machine is gonna retail for $6,000. Ooh, I guess it's a really powerful editing system, so I guess it's worth the money. The XDR display will retail for $5,000. Give you a bit of a discount there. Okay. It's got like 6K resolution. That's insane. Now, I guess I can take out a second mortgage on my home, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna need something to mount that massive display on, aren't you? He's right, we're gonna need something to put it on, right? $1,000 for the stand. Does the stand do the editing for me? No. It's like, shit. Come on, Apple. I try to defend you guys sometimes because I like some of your products. But this shit is ridiculous. $1,000 for a monitor stand? You know what you would buy with $1,000 that isn't a monitor stand? Luckily for you guys, I made a list. Yeah. It's a bit of a hefty one this time, but you know what? I think it's necessary. No, I'm gonna show them. Don't cut me off. Apple is saying that the stand allows for weightless movement and positioning of the monitor to allow for optimal viewing. Motherfucker, you are literally describing the job of any computer stand monitor ever. Weight reduction to adjust it? I freaking hope so. For $1,000, this shit should adjust itself, make my editing look as good as Christopher Nolan's, and make me coffee. Speaking of coffee, a recent study by the British Heart Foundation has published a study with findings that say that coffee is not as detrimental to heart health as we previously thought it was. So they sampled a wide range of coffee drinkers, some who drank as little as a couple cups a day to groups where people were drinking as much as 25 cups of coffee a day. That might be a little excessive. Among all the participants who drank all the amounts of coffee and the participants that they sampled, not a single one of them evidenced poor heart health or an increased risk for heart attack. Now, because we live in a time where people read the headlines in the news and literally nothing else, people are now circulating the misinformation that drinking 25 cups of coffee a day is completely fine and has absolutely no consequences attached to it. No. It's not how any of this works. Obviously, there are other problems to drinking 25 cups of coffee other than heart health problems. Headaches, nausea, hypertension, just being generally hyper. That's like saying, hey, great news everyone, cocaine actually doesn't cause sinus congestion, so have at it. Finally, my parents can get off my back of this problem I have. You guys want to go run in the woods later tonight? By the way, who the hell is drinking 25 cups of coffee a day? That's like a cup an hour, I think. Can I grab the marker board for this one? Probably less than a cup an hour, considering that, you're sleeping. Although, something tells me though, if you're drinking this much coffee, you're probably not, you probably haven't experienced the pleasures of sleeping in a long time. Well, that's all the time we have for this week's Break Report, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Remember to like and subscribe so you can be with us next week when we post another video. And hope to see you guys next week. For my send-off, I guess to wrap everything up, I guess I'll just say, enjoy coffee moderately, spend your money wisely, and don't stress yourself out over toilet paper.